Aquí Soñamos. I'm Ashley.
I'm Sammie.
Thank you guys for coming back for a new episode. This is a podcast where we talk about following your dreams, things that go into accomplishing your dreams, and everything that you can think of. Honestly, if you guys have topic suggestions, email them in for us.
Yeah,
See, I told
nice.
you the intro is always different.
I know. It's because we got to keep them on their toes. The
Yes.
60 listeners that we have, we appreciate you all.
Hey, you said we do not discredit any listener that we have. So
I'm not,
thank
hold
you
on.
all.
I'm
Thank
not
you all.
discrediting, I'm not discrediting anybody. I'm just saying we got to keep y'all on your toes. That's it. That's all I'm
Shout
saying.
out to our listener Des, which was our first YouTube subscriber, I found out. Shout out. You'll be getting some free merch whenever we do merch.
hmm
Actually, I already told her that whenever we do live shows, I'm gonna give her backstage passes. So
I love
she's
that.
already hooked up. She's already hooked up. Yeah.
Cool. I love to see it. Nah, yeah,
Yes.
she a real one. She's my one of my best friend's girlfriend. Um, and she's cool. She's a ride or die for sure.
Oh yeah.
She's a total
Well, I'm
vibe.
glad you're riding us. Well, riding with us.
Yeah. So is Jasmine, our first guest,
Our first kiss.
our
No.
first guest that we had on the show. She's also a
Yes.
ride or die, so she supports us just
Check
as much
out
as her
that
girl does.
episode. Aquí Sueña
Yes,
Jasmine.
please. She's a wonderful soul. Love to have her.
Yeah, that episode was really fun.
Yeah.
Well, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good.
That's good.
Yeah, getting
I'm
back into the
good.
swing of things. I was going
Good.
to ask you, but I wasn't done
I
answering.
wasn't I wasn't saying I'm good in the sense of like, wow, thanks for asking. I said it in the sense of like I thought you were done talking and I was gonna just move things along. I'm good too. Like I wasn't
But
trying to
why
be
shouldn't
rude.
you wait? Shouldn't you wait till I ask you how you're doing? This is a conversation. Is it
Yes.
not?
Yes.
Sorry that the middle of my sentence interrupted the beginning of yours.
I know
That's
you've
another
heard that before and you're like
excerpt from Des.
ex
Des says that all
yeah.
the time.
Oh really?
Yeah.
LOL, that's funny.
LOL? Did you say LOL?
I say LOL all the time.
I've never heard you say LOL. You're
That's
lying through
weird.
your teeth.
No, I'm not. I'm
Yes, you
dead
are.
serious. There's no way that in the whatever number of episodes I have not said LOL. It's 1,000% guaranteed that I have said LOL. You just don't listen to me.
Okay, here we go. I'm the
What
victim.
is this? Is this a therapy session? What
Nobody
the fuck?
likes me.
This isn't Aquí Soñamos. This is Aquí Hablamos. Because
I,
apparently this is a therapy session today. Let's
listen,
hash it out, Sam. Let's hash it out.
hash
No,
what
I'm just
up?
playing. But I swear, I say LOL. Yes, I'm one of those people that says LOL
That's cringy.
all the time.
Gross.
All the time, actually. Okay, well,
Hey guys, welcome back.
you gonna ask me how I'm doing?
How are you doing, Ashley? I thought you had already answered that question, Miss Ma'am.
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for asking. That's so nice of you.
So we're supposed to talk about consistency
I
today.
was about to say time schedule. Let's keep it moving. Yes.
um,
Today's episode is
it's about
supposed to be
consistency.
about consistency, right? Whenever we're coming up with this topic, I gave you some long run on sentence about how we can generalize this into one topic, and you came up with consistency, which is valid, right? Because I was like, how do we talk about discipline and staying motivated and blah 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 blah? Isn't
Ow.
that just you said, isn't that just consistency? And I was like, yes, you're right. So consistency it is. Okay, consistency.
Uh-huh. What about it?
How do you do it? Let's be a little bit formal in our topic here, okay?
Okay.
So consistency, right?
Yes.
A
It's
basic.
doing.
I'm not guess. Go ahead. Go ahead. A basic definition. Go ahead.
Oh, you do that. Go for it. Handle it. You
Okay,
got
I didn't
this.
look it up. I didn't look it up. But consistency, to me, would mean the act of. Ew, I hate that it started with the act of. Um, the act of something occurring or doing something in a repeat schedule, a repeat pattern. It's reoccurring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you kind of know that it's going to be reoccurring. Like I consistently go to church every Sunday. I consistently work 4 days a week. You know what I mean? So it's a pattern that has been established and does not change a lot over time, or you
Mm-hmm.
continue to do the action
Mm-hmm.
and you continue to do it. What do you think? How would you describe consistency?
Consistency is showing up, um, even when you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, you show up.
Mm-hmm.
You're there, and you're giving as much effort as you possibly can at that day or time. But it's following through no matter what, making sure that you are present and
Mm-hmm.
um, just there. Hmm.
I know you were talking pretty slowly there. Okay, hold on. I tried to look up the definition of consistency while you were talking, and
Hmm.
it took me a minute to spell it out. Do not judge me. Um,
Consistency.
okay, so we were completely wrong. The definition of consistency is the way in which a substance, typically a liquid, holds together.
That's I was like, wait, that's chemistry. That's not the
um,
definition.
okay, this one says the achievement of a level of performance that does not vary greatly in quality over time. Um,
Which is what you said.
right, which is, something that doesn't change a lot. Um, this simply right here, I haven't read it yet, so I'm hoping it's good. It says, those Google questions people also ask, what is the meaning of being consistent?
Hmm.
It says someone who is consistent always behaves in the same way, has the same attitudes towards people or things, or achieves the same level of success in something. So I guess it's somebody that is consistent, right? Like within their personality and
Yes, in their
whatnot.
personality.
But
I don't think that's
yeah,
the
so I mean,
definition of consistency. I think that's the definition of
of
somebody
someone
who
who
is
is consistent,
consistent, right?
right?
That
But
they go ahead.
consistency means it does not change a lot. Like I said,
Mhm.
you're showing up every time.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of change
Mhm.
in what's going on, right? And I feel like the way that we want to talk about being consistent is continuing to show up for yourself and your dreams, right?
Right,
When
right.
times are tough, when you're unmotivated, when you have to really force yourself to be disciplined,
Yeah.
that's the type of consistency we're trying to talk about today.
Right. 100%.
Right. So where do we want to start this off? I mean,
I
is
think
it as simple as go ahead?
okay. So, as you guys, which one's coming out first? This one or the last one? Let's do this one.
If you okay.
So, these past few months have been a little tricky
Mhm.
in our lives, both of our
Mhm.
lives.
Mhm.
And we kind of felt a little bit unmotivated, both of us. Like within a week and a
Mhm.
half of each other, we were kind of
Mhm.
just like
Ugh.
slugging.
Yeah.
Um, and I think even though we were feeling that way, we still attempted to show up for not only just ourselves, but also this
Mhm.
podcast and
Mhm.
also each other, right?
Mhm.
Checking in with one another. Although it wasn't as consistent as it used to
Mhm.
be, or as it was
Mhm.
in the past, we
Right.
still,
Yeah. Mhm.
we pushed through and we said, "Hey, how are we doing? What's going on? Do we
Mhm.
need to
Mhm.
record? Do you need
Mhm.
help?" things like that.
Mhm.
And so I think when we're talking about this topic, it's something that's really true right now in our lives, right? That something that
Mhm.
we always struggle with in any aspect of our life, you know? It
Right.
isn't just about a goal, it isn't just about a dream, it's about, life in general.
The day to day.
The day to day, having to
Mhm.
constantly show up and be consistent and be present, can be really challenging for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Not just people who have like a mental health diagnosis or anything
Mhm.
like that, but people in general, you know?
Mhm.
Gabby. Hi, Gabby. Ashley and I are people who I would say are very mentally aware, right? Would you say that?
Mentally aware of what?
Of ourselves,
Yeah.
like emotionally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then
No, I mean, no, it's yeah, because like you're saying, these past couple of weeks, you and I, like, just outside of anything that has to do with the podcast, we're not talking every day, and it's not because anything was wrong. It's just that we were just kind of both in our own little worlds, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
whenever you said to me, I'm seeing red flags. We haven't talked in a week. What's going on, right? And I was just
yeah.
like, honestly, like I've just been like just so involved just in my family, like in my day-to-day life, that like not that anything wrong is going on. I've been very present, right, in my
Yeah.
day-to-day life, and I
Yeah.
haven't been very present in our communication, right?
Yeah.
So like yeah, getting back into this recording of our podcast, which we hadn't done just you and I together in a minute, it was like very like okay, I was feeling like on that down wave of like like the podcast, like I didn't give it the time I had to give it and whatnot. So I mean, it is a topic that is very present in our life right now. We had to still be like, no, the podcast, it's still going, which the podcast is not up for debate or anything, guys. Don't worry. But just the scheduling of when we're gonna record,
Yeah.
and just like because we had to rearrange a few things, we had to be like, no, okay, this time, this day, let's get back into our groove. Let's
Mhm.
get things going again. Let's not push this one back or anything like that. And it's just been like yeah, like we had to decide, right, that we were
Mhm.
both gonna show up today for
Mhm.
ourselves, for each
Mhm.
other, and for the
Mhm.
podcast, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, it is something that we've both been like, I don't want to say like struggling with, but
Mhm.
both very very aware that we have had to make the decisions to show up, to keep
Mhm.
going with the things in our lives, and to set around aside that time for what we want to do. Um, but yeah, what were you saying before?
No, I think it's just, I think because we are both mentally, emotionally aware of
Mm-hmm.
where we're
Mm-hmm.
at, we're able to communicate that with one another. And it kind of allows us to lean on each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of just refocus and recenter and stuff. So I just wanted to say like thank you for that, right? For
Oh, thank you
allowing me that
for looking
space.
out for me.
Of course. That's what we're here
Miss
for.
Sam over here was like, I'm about to book a plane ticket because you haven't been talking to me. Like,
Yes.
I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. But no, okay, so let's try to get into how to
How do
be
we
consistent,
being
right?
yeah.
Right?
Um so I think for me the biggest way to build consistency in anything is to start small, right?
Okay.
You guys hear me say this a lot, right? Start small, take it a
Mm-hmm.
step at a time, break it
Mm-hmm.
down.
Mm-hmm.
When we're starting out something new, we tend to focus on the big picture and we're not focusing on the little steps, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With consistency, in order to build it, you have to start small, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Mm-hmm.
do little things. And because
Mm-hmm.
the little things, they turn into the big things, and then it becomes easier to adjust and it becomes easier to be consistent. I know that we bring it up a lot, and I know that this podcast isn't about it, but like when it comes to weight loss, I was
Mm-hmm.
not going to the gym 5 times out of the week when I started. I was literally
Mm-hmm.
going once a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like cognitive therapy, right? Where we're breaking it down and we're rewarding ourselves for the behavior that we're seeing consistently, right? So if I would
Mhm.
go to the gym 3 times out of the week, one, right? Or like if I would go to the gym once a week for the whole month, right? I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go buy a new sports bra, treat
Mhm.
myself, right?
Mhm.
And then it was like, okay, I'm gonna start going twice a week. Okay, if I go twice a week for the next 4 weeks, doesn't matter what day, I just need to go twice a week.
Mhm.
Then I'm going to get myself something else, right? And so having that kind of like, this is the goal, this is my reward if I achieve that goal,
Mhm. Mhm.
it helps us create that consistency, right? Because
Mhm.
we're not taking it as a whole, we're breaking it down into these small pieces, so like that when we do need to do the full thing, right, of going to the gym 4 to 5 days a week, we're able to do so, and it doesn't seem as strenuous or as a sudden change as if we were to start going 5 days out of the week from the beginning, you
Mhm.
know?
That kind of
Ashley
feeds
just
into.
yawned.
No, I'm sorry. I yawned
What am
earlier.
I
And I was
here
just like,
for? If you're
I
gonna
yawned.
sit here and yawn during our podcast, you know
I
what?
yawned
You better
earlier, and I
keep
was
that
just
in.
like, I don't want to yawn. Right? My eyes got watery, dude. No, it
That's
came out of nowhere.
crazy.
No, but
Here I am.
that kind of feeds into allowing, like, basically scheduling in instant gratification within a certain time, right? Because you
Right.
said, right, once a week for a month. Okay, you might not see 10 pounds lost, but you accomplish that goal.
Yes.
I'm going to reward myself a little bit, right? So,
Correct.
kind of putting those little nuggets, those little treats
Right.
along the way helps build up your
Yes.
consistency, right?
Yes. And you're changing the behavior
Mm
in a small way,
hmm. Mm hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You're changing the
Not cold
behavior in a small
turkey.
way. It's
Yeah.
not cold turkey, so you're able to be more consistent in the
Mm
long
hmm.
run, right?
Mm
Because you're
hmm.
not
Mm
seeing
hmm.
it as this big
Right.
lifestyle fuck through three, not a 360, 180, you
Mm hmm.
know?
Mm hmm.
Same thing with like eating healthy instead
Mm
of,
hmm.
you know, instead of like cutting carbs out completely from my diet. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll have 2 carbs throughout the day,
Mm
or
hmm.
maybe I'll have 3 carbs, whatever, you know.
Mm hmm. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
slowly
Being
reducing it.
aware, yeah, being
Yes,
aware of the change that you're trying to make, and just
yes,
chipping away at it, just
yes.
like everything else, you gotta chip away at it.
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
Because if we just do it like as a, when you're cutting down a tree, you don't cut down a tree in one swoop, right?
Hmm.
You have to
Hmm.
chip away and chip away
Hmm.
and chip away, so like that you get to that point, to the ending,
Hmm.
right? Until
Hmm.
it falls down. Same thing with your goals, right? Your
Hmm.
dreams. You're
Hmm.
not going to achieve the dream right away. You're going to chip away at it and chip away at it until you get to the ending dream, whatever
Just
that
like
may
this
be.
podcast, right?
Right?
You might have this goal of making it something big, but you do one episode, the next one, and you
Yes.
build up a catalog, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And this,
So,
and it's like also just like showing up for this podcast too, I think is a big
hmm.
thing, right? It's
Hmm.
not just about us recording, right? But there's this thought process that happens between us where we're like, hey, okay, this week we're gonna have guests. Next week we're gonna
Hmm.
record this. We're gonna do
Hmm.
this. We're gonna have this
Hmm.
schedule. Let me check
Hmm.
in with you. How are you feeling? Are we ready? Can we do this? You know, us being able to do that, it wasn't. I don't feel like it was so sudden. I think we got, like, yes, you had presented the idea in like October, and then like by
Hmm.
November you were like, we were like, okay, we're gonna record.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
we took it in I feel that we took it in like small spaces. Granted, you
Hmm.
did most of the heavy lifting in the beginning.
Hmm.
I give that all to you, right? I said, Ashley, you want to do this? We can do this. I will show up.
Right.
I will be there. But
Plan it out.
plan it out. And
It, and
you
hmm.
did that, right?
Hmm.
And you took it into small pieces, right? You wanted to
Hmm.
you decided what you wanted us to talk about. What was the purpose of this podcast? You then took on the decision of how we're going to record and what are we going to do, and then you did your like you broke it down into these pieces that allowed you
Hmm.
to be consistent, where all I had to
Hmm.
do was say, "Hey, I need a headset, I need a camera, and I'm good
And
to
I'm free on
go.
this day. Yeah.
Yeah, you know?
I
But
appreciate
I I appreciate you.
it. Yeah, no, I mean, I am somebody that I've said in the past struggle with consistency,
Yeah.
right? And it's definitely something that I am working on this year. So it's definitely something where I am having to force myself a little bit out of that comfort zone
Mhm.
of I am comfortable failing, right? I
Mhm.
am comfortable not showing up because like it's just what I know, right? So I've definitely had to keep pushing myself, keep telling
Mhm.
myself I know I'm scared of doing this, but I'm gonna show up because I said I was gonna do this and I'm trying to be more consistent, right?
Yeah.
Like so the reason like I said that this topic was a lot more complicated in the beginning is because being consistent requires discipline, right?
Yeah.
And so that is like the root of what I struggle with, like being disciplined, right?
Mhm.
Because I am a big instant gratification person, right? Like I
Mhm.
want to see the results of what I'm doing pretty quickly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how do we take steps to be more disciplined? Because like we said, it leads to being consistent. So let's break it down to the discipline, right?
Mhm.
How do we become more disciplined? Like what do I have to do?
So I think you hit it right that the people who tend to struggle with discipline tend to need that instant gratification, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
I need to see the reason why I'm doing this.
yes,
Mhm.
and by creating smaller goals or smaller steps, you're alleviating the pressure or the need for that instant gratification, right?
Mhm.
Because what you're doing is instead of getting instantly gratified for going to the gym and working out and losing weight, you're
Mhm.
getting gratified, you're breaking it down and saying, "Okay, I'm only going to go once a week." Your gratification comes there, right? That you've consistently gone once a week for 4 weeks.
You
That's your
change the
gratification.
goal from the weight loss to the schedule
Yes.
to creating a schedule.
Yes. Or even let's do another example of like um saving money, right?
Mhm.
Saving money is
Mhm.
hard. You have
Mhm.
to be disciplined to save money,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so instead of saying, "Okay, I need to save 20 G's to buy a home," you're
Right.
saying, "This week I'm going to put away $20
Mhm.
for the next 4 weeks." At
I
the end of
mean,
the month you have $80,
mhm.
but you accomplish the goal of saving the $80, and then maybe with the other stuff that you didn't save, you go and buy yourself something, right? You say, okay, once I save the $80, then I can go and drop 100 on
Mhm.
whatever I want, right?
Mhm.
And then the next month you try again.
And it's even broken down just like the weight loss to where although you thought the goal at first the goal was to lose weight and then it changed to creating a schedule,
Mm-hmm.
although the goal is to save money, that can
Mm-hmm.
be broken down to okay, this week I'm only going to eat out once,
Yes.
right? You
Yeah.
change it to that goal. I'm only going to eat out once. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
spend more than $10 on lunch a day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you change it to those goals where you can see that you did get kind of like that instant
Yes.
gratification
Yes.
on a quicker basis
Yes.
than saving that 20 G's because that 20 G's might take you 5, 6, 8 years. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But on a weekly basis, you can see, yes, I only ate out once, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saved up that way, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is also something I talked to my coworker about. I feel like with the discipline of doing something consistently,
Mm-hmm.
right? We kind of just broke it down into one category, you and me, which is being able to break it down to the point where you do have some sort of gratification, right?
Mm-hmm.
For those that struggle
That
with
need that,
discipline,
yeah.
right? Right. And then her thing was she started journaling this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And journaling, I guess it can bring gratification as a release, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something that leads to anything bigger, right? So what I'm trying to say is like you
Mm.
can have well because the two
Finish your thought.
categories
Finish your thought.
the the two categories I'm trying to break it into is you can have discipline by doing something that actually brings you joy, right? Which helps you be disciplined in that. And you can have discipline in something where you might need to create those little nuggets of instant gratification to keep you going, right? Because you might not love going to the gym, you might not love eating healthy, but breaking it into those little journeys where you have those nuggets of gratification helps you keep going, right? Versus like some people may not need to see those levels of gratification if they're doing something that they actually like. You know what I mean? Like that brings them joy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But
I
I don't agree because
Ashley, you have this thing where
mm-hmm.
you have a viewpoint and you want everybody to agree with your viewpoint. Right? Like like how do I
I
say
disagree with that because I
it?
am definitely a person that's like, tell me what you think. Like,
No, no, yes, but you like what we had a conversation in the
mm-hmm.
podcast and you're like, "Oh, the big dreams versus little dreams," right? When we were talking about that.
Uh
And
huh. Uh
then
huh.
you were like, "No, but it's like this." And no, but it's like this. And you like have this thing where you have to separate it into like black and white.
Okay.
It's not so much that you want people to believe your viewpoint, but it's like you
Mm-hmm.
separate it between black or white. Sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you don't have a gray,
Uh huh.
right? And with this,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a gray, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because from what I'm hearing, is that the only way that you can be disciplined is if it brings you joy or you create a consistent schedule. Is that what you're saying?
I feel like it brings you joy, or you are breaking it down to where you are getting some
A
sort of
consist.
gratification.
Okay, so gratification.
Right.
I think that people can become disciplined in many
Mm-hmm.
ways. I think
Mm-hmm.
that discipline and consistency can grow depending on the
Mm-hmm.
individual. I think that
Mm-hmm.
the examples that you gave are two examples of ways that that can happen, but it can be
Mm-hmm.
different for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't need the instant gratification, and some people don't need it to bring them joy. Some people are just determined to do it, right?
I need examples.
Okay. Example is
Mm-hmm.
me when I go to school. You think
Mm-hmm.
school brings me joy? School does not bring me joy. School is a headache. School is, I'm like, oh my God, I have to read. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I have to write a paper. That's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get any joy from it. And I don't get any instant gratification from it. Like, okay, yeah, I'm passing a class. Cool. But guess what? I still have a dissertation. I still have to do other things. It doesn't
Well, but
motivate.
that's the big goal. You're telling me that you do not get gratification whenever you turn in an assignment and you pass, right? Or like every single assignment that you turn in, every class that you pass is getting you closer to
But
getting
I
your
don't get,
doctorate.
yes, but I don't get anything from that. I'm like, okay, on to the next one. Like,
You
I'm
get
not
one step
jump,
closer.
but yes, I'm getting one step closer, but I am not getting anything from, like, I'm not getting
Mm-hmm.
anything that's like telling me, like, okay, like, this is why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to remind myself why I'm doing it. I have to
Mm-hmm.
make myself, I have to discipline myself to make sure that I'm
Mm-hmm.
being consistent in my studies. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
somebody's telling me, hey, you have to do this, right? Nobody's telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I'm doing it because it brings me joy. And I'm not doing it because I'm getting this instant gratification.
So
I am
why do you
doing
keep
it
being consistent? Why? Why do you keep being consistent in your studies?
because I have a goal and I'm determined to get to that goal.
Will reaching that goal bring you joy
I don't know.
and gratification?
I don't know.
I mean, so then you're trying to accomplish this goal, not thinking that it will
I think it will
benefit your
bring me
life.
gratification in the end, in
Mm-hmm.
the end.
Mm-hmm.
But we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about how do we discipline and create consistency in our lives, right?
But that's the thing, right? If you want to save 20 G's, getting your doctorate is saving 20 G's. passing each class is saving $100 here and there.
But what I was saying is that you reward yourself after doing that,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
reward yourself. That's where that instant gratification comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me passing a class, I don't reward myself because guess what? The following day, I start my next class. So there's no room
Mm-hmm.
for me to celebrate. There's no room for me to to take a moment and be like, "Oh, yes, I did that." Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually in the third week of my following class being like, "That was good. I got this. I did that."
Uh-huh.
You know,
Uh-huh.
even the
Mm-hmm.
gratification of completing a class is late, right?
But it's still you're admitting you
But
still get gratification, it's just delayed. You admitted it. You still get gratification, it's just delayed.
it's not gratification. Like it's I don't how do I say this? Like it's more so of just like, okay, so I did that. On to the next. Like,
Proud. Proud of the accomplishment,
let's go to the next one.
also called gratification.
Whatever.
But okay, so you're saying that
I'm
you
just
don't
saying
have
that
to receive gratification, you don't
there are
have to receive joy,
some people who
you
can
just
just
do it. Just do it. Sorry. It's just trademark Nike. You just continue to do it. So you think the gray is just doing it
I think
because
it's
you said
people
you were
that
going to
are
do it.
yeah, people that are determined to do something and they just do it.
Now,
And
what
there's other
motivates people
grays
to be
too.
determined to do something and do
Huh?
it? Now, what motivates people? Because we just said discipline, motivation, consistency, right? So, what motivates people to stay disciplined or to stay consistent?
I think it's the reaching of the final goal. That's what motivates some people. For me, for school, is that representation, right? It's the pushing forward of the community. It's the pushing forward of la cultura. It's the like just that's the end, right? And so even on the days, listen, even on the days where I don't want to do it, I'm like, I have to do this for the next one that's behind me, right? Whoever it is, I'm doing it for them, right? But I'm not getting anything from that person. I don't even know that person, but I'm still gonna do it because that's what I want to do. That's where that determination comes in, right? I'm determined to complete this for the person that's next. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. And so I'm not going to assume that you feel this way, right? So I'm going to ask, okay? Are you not someone that is proud to say, and like that will proudly say, I have my bachelor's, my master's, and am pursuing my doctorate degree? Like, does that not bring you pride to be able to say that?
I honestly try not to say it.
Why?
Um, because then it comes with, oh, so what are you studying for your doctorate? Oh, then what are you doing for this? And then it turns into like this whole explanation.
Okay, so internally,
Um,
you're proud to be pursuing your doctorate, right? Maybe you
internally,
don't say it. Maybe you don't say it to people, right?
yeah,
But you're proud of this accomplishment that you're working towards, right?
right.
If you were to stop pursuing your doctorate, then then you would lose this part of I am proud of myself for doing this, right? So then is it not giving you a sense of joy because you are
It's
proud of yourself for
not.
doing this?
No, I don't think so. I think it's
No?
motivating me to continue.
The okay.
It's because
Like you want to keep feeling proud so
no.
so
And
that
that's
is
why it
motivating you?
doesn't, no. I find pride. How do I say this?
Is pride bad?
No. I think it could be, but no, 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 no. I find pride in the fact, yes, okay, yes, I'm pursuing it, right? But that's not why I'm pursuing it. I'm not pursuing it to gain pride. I'm
Mhm.
pursuing it because I want to create that seat at the table. I want to be that representation for whoever is next, right? That's why
Mhm.
I'm doing it.
Mhm.
For me, the thing that makes me continue to show up is that, right? It's not like this goal of mine to become a doctor or to be a
Mhm.
doctora isn't because like it isn't for me. And because it's not for me,
You.
stop.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because it's not
Mhm.
for me, I don't break it down. I'm not breaking it
Mhm.
down. I'm looking at it as the whole picture. And I think because of that, I don't have that feeling of instant gratification or that
Mhm.
feeling of joy that it brings me joy, right?
Mhm.
I am doing this so like that there is a seat at the table. I am doing this so like
Mhm.
that people who want to pursue it know that they can, know that it's available to them, know that they don't
Mhm.
have to have, I don't know, a certain race, or they don't have to be a certain person, that they can
Mhm.
do it if they want to, and that there are
Mhm.
people who have done it before them that they can lean on and that they can trust,
Mhm.
right? All of that gratification comes after the
Mhm.
completion of this goal, after the completion of schooling, after the completion of the dissertation, right? Me
Mhm.
using my doctorate to open up the nonprofit, right? Even
Mhm.
though I don't need it right now, right? I can use that, right, to better myself, to better my nonprofit, to better my representation or my presentation to the world, right? As somebody who
Mhm.
provides counseling services. But all of that is after. I'm not getting any gratification now. I'm yes, like my parents would tell me like, "Oh, good job. Oh, keep going. Oh, you got this." Whatever. But that's more as a way of a support than it is for them to be like, "High five. Good job."
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think my parents and my family do have pride in what I am doing, and
Mhm.
they are prideful that I am doing it right.
Mhm.
But again, I don't think they. It's not for me. It's not instant gratification. It's not a gratification. It's not something that brings me joy. It's more so that's how they feel about it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Hold on. I'm trying to see if Bruno's gonna keep barking.
He's gonna keep working.
Okay. So I have a question, right?
Mhm.
You said multiple times, right? And this is completely off topic, but you know how we do here. Okay, so you said multiple times that you are not pursuing this doctorate for you. You're pursuing it for other people to see representation, right?
Yeah.
And you said this isn't for me, this isn't for myself, this is for a seat at the table, this is so people can see people like them, whatever, right?
Mhm.
I'm not trying to ask this in a selfish way, but a lot of the stuff we have talked about comes down to you have to do it for yourself. You have to show up for yourself, right? You
Mhm.
want to lose weight for yourself. Don't lose weight because your spouse or your parents want you to lose weight, right?
Mhm.
You want to go to
Mhm.
school for education, go to school for you. Don't go to
Mhm.
school because your parents want you to be a doctor, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, how can you continue to be motivated by something that is kind of the opposite
Mhm.
of what we preach here, right? Do it for you, but you're motivated by something that is not for you. So, how does that keep you motivated if, in reality, and not to be like rude or anything, right? You don't really know what if you will have a big impact in
Mhm.
your community, right?
Mhm.
You are one Latina that is pursuing her doctorate degree, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So how do you know that you will have a big enough impact to where that keeps you motivated? Because what if you get your doctorate degree, right? And the only people you do impact, which I understand that changing one life is good enough, right? But like the only people you are able to impact are people within your hands, your arms reach, right? Family and friends, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So how do you stay motivated by strangers and by not doing this for yourself?
I don't, how do I say it? I don't think that I see it as a stranger. I think I see it as my younger cousins. I see them there, right? My friends' kids, my friends' cousins, nieces, or whatever, right? That they'll have somebody, even if it's somebody within my arm's reach, they will have somebody to say, "Hey, Tia, Sammy, cousin, whoever, whatever you want to call me. How did you pursue your doctorate? What did you do? What made you want to do it?" That's that's why I do it, right? That whole, you know, I don't care who it is. I don't Somebody's gonna feel some type of way, right? Somebody's gonna say like, "Hey, let me ask her. Let me talk to her about it." You know? See what's going on. How do you do it? What did you do? What did you like about it? How was the dissertation process? What did you feel helped you during the dissertation process? If I can be that for one person, by all means, right? Same thing. Should I decide to teach? If I have one Latina in my class who is uncertain about her place in education, her place in higher education, and she sees Doctora Samantha Martinez, and she feels like, aquí estoy, ¿verdad? Aquí
Do you
debería
want to
estar.
say your full name?
Huh?
Do you want to say your full name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's on your social media anyways. Okay, 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 good.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So,
okay.
you know, if I can do that for one person, my goal is achieved, right? That all of that determination, all of the tears, all of the imposter syndrome, all of that was worth it, you know? And it's like there's this girl that I follow on IG who,
Did you just say IG?
yeah,
Same
don't
thing as saying
don't try to
LOL.
make it seem like IG is.
Same thing as saying LOL.
No, it's not. No, it's
You
not.
would not say, "Hey, I follow my family on FB."
Not FB, IG. Everybody says IG. Ain't nobody
Sure,
out here in
continue.
plain conversations being like, LOL. No, 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 no. You're tripping. You're tripping. You're tripping.
Okay,
You're
you follow
tripping.
somebody on IG. You follow somebody
Yes.
on IG.
Be
Okay, go
like, oh,
ahead.
hey, can I follow you on IG?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay. Continue
Okay.
about this
Ain't
person that
nobody
you
saying
follow.
LOL.
Mm-hmm.
Exit.
Sure.
Okay? Trying to call me out and shit. Mm-mm. No, honey. No. Anyways,
All right. Go ahead.
so this girl, I follow her on IG, and she had documented the process of her dissertation, and I was like, she's a Latina. Like, okay, okay. And then so I started looking at her page, and then I was like, okay, this seems doable. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a struggle, but it seems doable. And then she led me to another one, to another future doctora, and I was like, there's another one. And then it like turned into like this whole community of Latinas in higher education, and I was like, oh my god, this is what I have been looking for, right? Because I had my sister, right? And I had my mom, who participated in higher education. But I didn't have somebody that took it to that next level, right? And I found that community just by following one person on IG. And then like it turned into this whole thing where I'm like, okay, I can see other people that have the same goal as me, that want to be represented, that want a seat at the table. I'm going to do it too. You know? And so yeah.
Yes. So a little bit that can be used with your same example as education, right? But the difference between being externally and internally motivated, right? You're motivated by the change that you may be able to do in just even one person's life, right? Which is external motivation, right? Is there anything that motivates you internally, or like isn't it good to have more internal motivation, something that doesn't rely on other people, than it is to have
Yeah.
external?
Definitely. I think the internal motivation comes in when I complete something that's difficult in my classes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Completing an assignment that I didn't want to do or an assignment that I felt like I didn't have any knowledge of doing, and then completing
Mhm.
that, right? That motivates me, I
Uh huh.
guess.
Mhm.
I
You just said. I guess.
but because and the reason why it'll motivate me is because it'll give me the reassurance that I am meant to be there, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's it.
I guess.
Um, and then the same thing goes like I do think that it's important to have that internal motivation first before you have that
Mhm.
external motivation. Because
Mhm.
if you can't motivate yourself when nobody else is able to motivate you, you can't be
Mhm.
successful. You can't.
Mhm.
You're not
Mhm.
going to be able to show up. You're not going to be able to be consistent, right?
Mhm.
Like with going with the gym, I am internally motivated to do that, right? I
Mhm.
want to do that for me. I don't want to do it for my mom, for my dad, for anybody. I'm doing it for
Mhm.
myself because that's what I want in my life, right? I want to
Mhm.
be healthy. I want to build these healthy habits and change, the
Mhm.
course of my health, right?
Mhm.
That's something that I'm
Mhm.
doing for me. That's something that motivates me, right? I'm motivating
Mhm.
myself in that.
Mhm.
Now, granted, if somebody was like, "Hey, girl, you looking good? You look skinny. Oh, that
Right.
waist is getting
Hey, have you lost
snatched.
some weight? Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
have you
yeah.
lost some weight?" Okay,
Mhm.
that's external motivation, and that keeps me like,
Mhm.
it gives me like
Like fresh. I
gas.
don't know why. Like yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
gives me gas to like continue to
yeah, yeah,
motivate myself and be like, "Yes,
yeah.
baby, we
Like
are getting snatched."
your
Yes.
tank was full. They just topped it off. Like
Yes, exactly. They were just like, here's the extra 5 miles that you were missing,
right.
whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm. Mhm. So we keep going down to like, or I like to break it down to the chain of motivation, discipline, consistency, right?
Right.
You have to be motivated for what you're going to do, which makes you be disciplined, right? And then being
You
disciplined
blacked out again.
makes, let me know when I'm back.
You're back.
Okay. So the chain of motivation, discipline, consistency, right? You're motivated to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be disciplined to do it, so you have to continue to be motivated, right? Which then being disciplined at it means you're being consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel like, let me ask you this, has school been easy to stay disciplined at?
No,
No. Do you feel like that's a weekly, daily, yearly struggle?
it's a month. It's like every 3 months. It's a quarter.
A quarterly struggle?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Like,
Because in my program, so I do a class for 8 weeks, and then the following
mm-hmm,
day I start the next class, and then the following
mm-hmm,
day I start the next class for eight
mm-hmm,
weeks.
mm-hmm,
So it gets really, really heavy by the third class, in the middle of the third class, and I'm just like, oh my God, I haven't had a break. I can't keep doing this. And then so I
mm-hmm,
have these moments of like breaking down where I feel like I
mm-hmm,
shouldn't be here. And
mm-hmm.
then I'm like, no, I deserve a spot. So
So, imposter syndrome comes into play just when you've been overworked, or like,
it comes, yes, because that's the self doubt, right? The imposter
mm-hmm,
syndrome is part of that self doubt. It's part of that,
mm-hmm,
like, not knowing if I'm meant to do this because I feel that way. But that's something within me, right? So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
the imposter syndrome is different for everybody and can be triggered by something completely different for people. For
mm-hmm,
me, I feel it most when I feel like I'm overwhelmed, right? And I feel like there's a
mm-hmm,
lot of things that are on my plate and I can't handle it. I start
mm-hmm,
to feel like I am inadequate and I shouldn't be there, right?
mm-hmm,
But that's just
mm-hmm,
me. That's not to say
mm-hmm.
that imposter syndrome for you might show up in a completely different way.
Right.
And then it also depends on like different aspects of my life, right? Because like at the gym, it's something where I'm like, am I supposed to be taking up space? Do I take up
Mm-hmm,
space? Getting
mm-hmm,
comfortable with that
mm-hmm,
is also it's a daily struggle for me at the
mm-hmm,
gym. But like at
mm-hmm,
school, it'll be like I have a lot going on with work and with school and my personal life, and then I'm just like, I can't do this, and then
mm-hmm.
I question it.
Is there anything you feel like you started doing in your life? Not, it doesn't even have to be recently, or
Hmm.
just that you've added to your life that it was actually easy to start being consistent at this.
It's gonna be crazy. But I think showing up for myself and
Mm-hmm.
giving myself the grace to feel those things.
What do you mean though? Like, are you saying in a certain thing or just
To feel
in?
like to feel the emotions of imposter syndrome, to feel the
Okay.
emotions of like uncertainty, and to feel that vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like to say that I am a very strong, independent woman who has
Mm-hmm.
everything together,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing myself the space to not have to be that has been really,
Uh-huh.
like, it's been hard,
Yeah.
but I'm thankful that I'm doing that consistently for myself, right? I'm checking in with myself and being like, where are we at today? Where are we at this
Mm-hmm.
week?
Mm-hmm.
Can we do anything to change how that might affect next week?
Mm-hmm.
And going through those little motions, going through those little like habits, and building those habits up, I think has been really beneficial to me as a whole.
So why do you feel like showing up for yourself and kind of allowing yourself that space has been easy to become consistent at it?
Because I think I had always wanted to do it, but never
Mm-hmm.
allowed myself to do it.
Do you get gratification from doing it?
I don't think it, like, if you want to call peace gratification, sure.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to see if I can get you to say it brings me joy to give myself the space.
No.
It's
I,
okay. I'm not trying to
no,
put you in
because
a black or white. I promise.
it brings me peace, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll have a really hard week and then I'll be crying, and then I get
Mm-hmm.
mad, then I
Mm-hmm.
cry. That's a whole different
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then, like, after I give myself that space to do so, I'm like, okay, I'm good for
Mm-hmm.
next week. I'm ready to
Mm-hmm.
do whatever else is needed of me,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
whatever else needs to get done.
How come you think, okay, so my original question, this is moving away from that, but my original question was going to be if self discipline is the root of all discipline. But then I wanted to ask, like, for me, I can go to work every single day I'm supposed to work, show up, work, do my full shift, and go home, right? But when it comes to going to the gym on a consistent schedule or eating healthy, blah, 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 right? I don't show up for myself as much as I show up in work, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is annoying because work is for other people. It's not even for myself. I get paid, whatever, right? But like working is working for other people, right? So yes, is self discipline the root of everything? But then like I feel like I'm disciplined in things that do not I'm disciplined in things that people are providing me with a schedule, right? And with that monetary gratification, right?
Right?
So then when it comes to me trying to implement something that I know will benefit me, right? But
Are
it
you?
takes me putting in
Mm-hmm.
the schedule, me putting in the work, me figuring things out all myself, like I'm not as disciplined in it, right? So why am I
Mm-hmm.
showing up more for other people than I am for myself?
Are you gratifying yourself or giving yourself that reward if you complete something? Or are you, and then you're expecting a sudden change and it's not
I
sudden.
think I feel like
And
it's mm-hmm,
okay, with the work, you
mm-hmm,
know that if you work your 80 hours every 2 weeks,
okay.
you every 2 weeks you're going to get that paycheck. That
Mm-hmm,
that is a behavior that has already been instilled in you. that you
Mhm.
know that if you work your 80 hours, at the end of the 80
Mhm.
hours, guess what?
Mhm.
You get a nice
Mhm.
piece of paper that
Mhm.
says
Mhm.
you did it, right?
Mhm.
When it
Mhm.
comes to things like weight loss, you can eat salads for
Mhm.
for 2 weeks, right? And you can feel a change, right? Or you can see a change, but you don't see the change that you want to see. And so
Mhm.
that reward is inconsistent for you, right? Because you're, instead of having 3 meals and all 3 meals are carbs and they're loaded with whatever and they're unhealthy. I don't think food is
Mhm.
unhealthy, but unhealthy.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you decide to switch one of those or two of those out for
Mhm.
salads, right? You're
Mhm.
gonna see some weight loss, but you're not gonna, like, you're gonna see weight loss on the scale, but you're not gonna see weight loss in yourself, right?
Mhm.
You're not gonna see um, the physical benefits of it, right? It's not something that you
Mhm.
could go in and you can cash and be like, hey, look, I did this,
Mhm.
right? You
Right.
can't do that. So that gratification of like you're losing weight or you're making those habits or you're changing those habits, those are harder to attain because we're not giving ourselves, we're not seeing the reward immediately, right? We're taking the steps to get to the reward, to get to the
Uh-huh.
big thing, but we're
Mhm.
not, our gratification isn't being satisfied as effectively as we need it to be. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes, you asked me if I was giving myself the rewards along the way, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but I feel like to a fault, but also I don't think okay, this is going to be conflicted. I'm trying to figure it out as I'm saying it, right?
Okay.
So, whenever I had lost about 35 pounds, right? I said it to my mom like, "Hey, how about if for every 50 pounds that I lose, right, you and I go have lunch at like a nice place, right? As like a reward for reaching that milestone of 50 pounds lost, right?" And my dad, whenever I started this back in September, hold on, my dad, when I started this back in September, my dad makes shirts or whatever, right? And he's like, hey, for every 10 pounds you lose, I'm gonna make you a shirt for free, right? I'm gonna make you a shirt, whatever you want to say on it, right? So I have like 4 or 5 shirts stacked up because I've lost 50 pounds, right? So what I'm going for is yes, I've been giving myself those rewards of like, hey, like, but then okay, see, earlier we were talking about rewards with schedules, right? That were not food, right? Because I don't know if food should be a reward, right? Oh, you ate
Agreed.
healthy 5 days out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a really bad eating day on Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then that like it's like food unhealthy, right? Like we were saying, quote unquote unhealthy food
Mm-hmm.
should not be the reward. But sometimes you look at it as like, oh, I've been eating good all week. I'm gonna go ahead and have me this pizza, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But since I haven't been trying to be like on a set diet or like trying to like really focus on eating set calories a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
A day that I want to eat pizza, I'll eat pizza, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, yes, I'm having like these little moments of like, I don't feel bad for doing this, right? But I guess I haven't really given myself. Okay, see, this is starting me to think because I haven't really given myself any reward, like you said, of like, oh, I went to the gym for a month straight, 2 times a month. I'm going to buy myself a new workout clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have been receiving the reward of I get in my car and I notice that there's a little bit more space between me and the steering wheel, right? I put on my work shirt and I notice that it actually fits me better than it used to 3 months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those aren't rewards that you can plan when they're going to happen, right? So I guess maybe I haven't been giving myself the actual reward on a schedule.
Mm-hmm. You
But I
also,
don't know if that causes me to not show up for
it
myself
can, because why are you doing it if you're not getting something from it?
because of that gray area. Because I have to. I mean, I don't want to say that
But
I
you
have to, but I
don't,
have to.
but do you have to? Because you were losing weight with just the other stuff that you were doing without working out, without eating healthy.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
technically, you don't
Mhm.
have to go to the gym. You don't have to change
Mhm.
those eating habits because
Mhm.
what you were
Mhm.
doing before then was already gratifying you or whatever, right?
Mhm.
What I am noticing in your plan, and again, this is not a therapy session, this is not, I'm not giving you advice.
Uh huh.
Um, one, your goals aren't clear. You're not
Mhm.
setting yourself straight goals that are measurable, right? They're called SMART
Mhm.
goals. There isn't a
Eh,
time
eh, eh,
limit.
eh, eh. Um, we're gonna backtrack a little bit because you didn't listen to my goal getters episode when I literally go into SMART goals.
Okay, but your goals aren't
My goals
that.
aren't clear.
They're
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
clear. There isn't a time frame on it. You're kind of just
Mhm.
like out in the wind.
I
And the
haven't set the
rewards,
SMART goals that I was talking about.
correct.
Mhm.
And the goals that, like, the rewards that you have for these goals, they're not rewards that you picked. You didn't pick for your dad. Although I think it's
Mhm.
great that your dad is making you shirts to whatever, that's not something that's going to motivate you. Okay, you get a
Mhm.
shirt, whatever. You could go buy a shirt at Target, at Walmart, wherever.
Mhm.
Yo, daddy don't need to
Mhm.
make you a shirt. Granted, it's nice and he's using that as a motivation for you, but that
Mhm.
technically is external
Mhm.
motivation. It's not motivation
Mhm.
within yourself.
It's
It's
not what's motivating me to lose weight. It's something
exactly.
that comes along with it.
It's
Mhm.
something that's coming along with it because somebody else is
Mhm.
providing it to you and saying, like, this is what should motivate you. This is what should
Mhm.
make you keep going.
Mhm.
So that's not going to work, right? And then the whole goal of like eating out with your mom when you lose 50 pounds, that's too much time. That you can't put a
Mhm.
time frame on that. Because for
Mhm.
some people, like you've already
50
lost the
pounds is
50
2
pounds.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like for me, I've barely lost 30. Right?
Mhm.
I mean, granted, I'm
Mhm.
seeing the changes in my body and
Mhm.
I see myself
Mhm.
getting a little bit thinner, but I haven't lost the actual weight, right?
Mhm.
And so if I would have put myself in that position of like, oh, when I lose 50 pounds, I'm going to go to a steakhouse and I'm going to go
Yeah.
have me a nice
You're like,
steak.
fuck this because it's never coming. Like,
Exactly. So
mhm.
how are you you can't that can't be a reward for you because it doesn't have a time frame. One,
Mhm.
two, it's
Mhm.
an unreasonable goal. It's
Mhm.
unreasonable.
Mhm.
So how are you going to know, you know? Like
But then I'm curious to what has been motivating me because I agree with you. The
that's
shirts, but I agree with you, right? The shirts is just something that's coming with it, right? The whole
mhm.
50 pounds, let's go have a nice lunch thing is just something that, like, I'm just like, hey, let's do this for fun, right? Every 50 pounds that I lose, right? But if I've been able to lose a substantial amount of weight, right, so
Mhm.
far, and I don't have clear what has been motivating me that puts me one in a dangerous place because I don't know what's motivating me, so I don't know what continues to motivate me, right? But then also like, hey, I've been able to do this without motivation. So is this now a part of my life that I don't need motivation to continue to do it? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
now it's not something that I'm putting so much effort into doing it. It's just come become a part of my life, right? Like going to
Right.
work. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm. I think that the only person that can answer that question is yourself. You have to
Mm-hmm.
look within yourself to see if this is something that has just become a second nature for you and
Right.
now you're doing it. So now instead of working on the motivation, you're working on the consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're moving on to
Right.
that next step of continuing to show up for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
continuing to go to the gym, continuing to make those healthy decisions. That's what you're that
Mm-hmm.
if you're saying that it's already become a part of your life and you've made
Mm-hmm.
that decision, those
Mm-hmm.
motivations,
You should be good. It still says that you're recording.
okay, that should be that's out of the motivations, that's now into
Mm-hmm.
the consistency part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the motivation does help you keep consistent, but
Right.
it it's more so of you continuing to show up for you for
I
whatever
guess I
reason.
hadn't I hadn't maybe sure that gray area, right? Where like, I was thinking like, okay, you have to be motivated and then you have to be disciplined to be consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you can reach that point where you don't have to be motivated in this anymore to be
Mm-hmm.
disciplined to make it a consistency, right?
Correct.
Now it's like you took out that part of the equation, which maybe makes it easier for you to
To
be
show it.
disciplined, right?
Yep.
Like I've been on this journey since September, so we're talking about 5 months now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly feel like I have not been making a very hard effort at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to see results.
Yeah.
So just like you in school, like yes, you're motivated by the by being able to impact somebody's life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're kind of past the point of where you don't need that daily motivation
Gratification.
because
Yeah.
you're disciplined to the point where like this is a part of my life, this is a part of my schedule, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just I keep, yeah,
Going.
I like that to where you start with being motivated, which makes you disciplined, which helps you be consistent, but then you start to in what is it, ingrain in whatever you start to make a part of your life to
Mm-hmm.
where you actually need less and less motivation because now this is part of you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like that. See, this is what I like about our episodes. We just kind of figure shit out along the way.
Yeah.
We don't come to you with the solution at the front. We figure it out.
Yeah. No, definitely. Um, who's your dreamer?
You move into it way too quickly.
I'm just
Yeah.
popping
Okay. So,
cherry
did you have
stuck.
did you have it? Did you have anything else? Would you say?
I said I'm just popping cherries over here. I'm just, just
I'm
let's
dead.
go. Let's get
Yes.
into it.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about as far as consistency and stuff like that? Like I
Yes.
know.
The okay, so
Hmm.
here's the last thing.
Hmm.
All you can be consistent in something and then all of a sudden lose consistency and you may have to start
Hmm.
back at square one to
Hmm.
gain the motivation, the
And
discipline,
that's okay.
and that's completely okay. And sometimes
Hmm.
it's going to happen more frequently than not.
Hmm.
Um, but remember that it's okay and to give yourself that grace.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay?
It's
Yeah.
okay to fail. Like it's completely okay. It's part of
It's
life. It's
complete.
part of
No,
life.
whoa, 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 whoa. It's not a
Failing is part of
failure.
life. Oh yeah. I'm
It's
sorry.
not
I'm
a
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
failure.
sorry. I'm sorry.
It's a reset.
A
It's a second
reset. Okay.
chance.
Well, see, I don't like the second chance thing because then you're like a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth chance, right?
Well, yes, because if you want
It's
to
a
keep,
restart.
it's a restart. Yes, it's a restart. It's a reset,
Reset, restart. It's not a failure.
not a
It's
failure.
an adjustment.
It's an adjustment. I like that.
All right, so we are going to move into the dreamer of the day for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Please do not try to guess the person before I am done.
Mm-hmm.
We had a little incident the last episode. Also, hopefully you forgot about it. So, dreamer of the day. Born October 13th, 1989, in the Bronx, New York, this activist fights for social, economic, and racial justice. Their father was a small business owner and architect from South Bronx, and their mother cleaned houses after moving to New York from Puerto Rico. She was on the she was on the she went on to study economics and international relations at Boston University. Upon graduating, she went back to the Bronx and pursued work in education and community organizing as an educational director for the National Hispanic Institute. In 2018, this dreamer ran for Congress, won their primary challenge in June, and went on to win the election, becoming the first woman of color to represent New York District 14 and the youngest woman in history to serve in Congress. Was this A. Hillary Clinton, B. Michelle Obama, or C.
It's C.
Alexandria Ocasio
It's
Cortez?
C.
Oh my god, we'll give it away. I'm kidding, but yeah, she's a badass. This is why I was like, is Sonia Sotomayor? It was
Sotomayor.
reminding Sotomayor was reminding me so much about her, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's our dreamer for the day. Hopefully, you all learned a little bit more
Something.
about
Yeah.
AOC. Um, shout out to both my dreamers being Puerto Ricans. I guess I will expand into
You have a
some other
thumbs up
stuff.
bubble. You had a thumbs up bubble in your video right now. It was just like this.
I don't know.
It was like a little bubble, like right here.
I don't know. I don't know. But speaking of thumbs up, really quick, this is completely random, okay? Um, when we went out of town with my baby, right? We were at a restaurant and we were ordering, and then the waiter is like, "Oh, did you want anything?" to my kid, right? And then my kid just looks at them and gives them a thumbs up, right? And I'm like,
Look, look, look,
"You've
look,
never."
look.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny, but I didn't know about that. But my kid just suddenly learned how to do a thumbs up and would do it in the most sarcastic ways. Are you gonna pay for this? And it was just so funny. It was just so funny. But thank you guys for listening to this episode of Aquí Soñamos. Actually, at our next recording date, I have confirmed with our guest. She is gonna be in studio. So we're gonna have our second guest. Um, you're gonna get these two episodes probably before you get the next guest. But we do have our second guest lined up. We will be recording with them next month in March.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you guys want to be on an episode, email us, communicate with us, comment, text us if you have our numbers. Aquí
Mm-hmm.
Soñamos at gmail.com for the email. Thank you guys so much for listening, for being a part of this journey. We can't wait
Mm-hmm.
to keep growing with you guys. Any last words, Sam?
Hope you guys have a good rest of your week and hope this podcast made you smile a little bit. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.